What is up, guys? Taylor Sleaford here, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 mistakes you are probably making that is costing you time. Time, it's one of those things that we all wish we had more of. And what could we do with that time? The things we love, we could relax, we could enjoy everything that we're doing. So I'm going to break down 5 mistakes that if you stop making, it'll give you more time to do all the things that you want in your life, okay? Tip number 1 is you're not scheduling your week. This is something I work with all of my clients on, everybody that I talk to, even the people who think they're good at scheduling, time management, productivity, they're not actually scheduling out their week. They have in their mind what they think they need to do, what's going on that week, but they don't actually schedule it. So here's what I say. Book yourself to book yourself. So actually schedule out a block of time on your calendar, 30 minutes once a week. I do it on Sundays. And I take that 30 minutes to plan out my entire week, right? Hour by hour. What time do I wake up? When do I go to work? How long am I at work? Free time, date night, going to the gym, going skiing, whatever it is, everything goes on there, right? That way you can have a big picture view of what do you actually need to get done, and you can allot a certain amount of time. Very often we get stressed because we're like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done. However, if you know that it's scheduled on Thursday, you can focus on, okay, Monday, this is what I need to do, because Thursday I have time for that, right? And then it'll help you be more productive to see, are you actually wasting time or are you scheduling too much, okay? It's gonna give you feedback. So write it down, put it on the calendar, use a Google Calendar, put it on your phone, but actually schedule out your week, and then you'll be way more likely to get those things done, okay? Tip number 2 is your to-do list is too long. Basically, you should have 3 things that are the most important to get done that day, okay? So this is step 2 of scheduling out your week. I would recommend you've got your whole week planned out, and then every day, have a sticky note. What are the top 3 things that need to get done today, okay? Those are the non-negotiables. Those are the things that will make today a win. What I see most people do is they start that to-do list, and then they add 4, 5, 10 things, and it becomes overwhelming. And then typically what happens is when we're stressed, instead of doing the thing we really need to get done that day, we pick something else that's easier. So we can just get that instant gratification of crossing things off the list. I know I love that feeling. However, is it really helping you where you need to get going? So if you have a big to-do list, 10, 20 things, I challenge you to take that list and then separate it into 2 lists. What are the things that have to get done today? And then what could get done tomorrow or the next day, okay? So minimize that to-do list, only pick 3 major focuses each day, okay? Tip number 3 is you are trying to multitask. I've got a news flash for you. Multitasking is a myth. And I know, yeah, you think you're good at it. However, you're wasting time and you're not being as intentional as you could, okay? A lot of research shows that every time we switch tasks from one item to another, it could take 15 to 30 minutes to really dive deep into that. Get in like a flow state, okay? So what does this look like in real time? Let's say you're checking emails. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I'm gonna work on a report. You start writing the report, you get a text message. All of a sudden you go to the text message. Every time you switch, you're losing your concentration, right? So if we're working on a report throughout the day, it's gonna take twice as long. Whereas if you just set aside 30 minutes undistracted time, you're actually gonna be more productive. You're gonna be on that way of thinking, right? So the subcategory of how to stop multitasking is do what I call blocking and batching. And this is gonna go in line with your scheduling. When you schedule out your entire week, block and batch time, right? So instead of what most people do, they check email all day long and we get distracted. And when we're working on something, all of a sudden we get an email and our head goes elsewhere. Instead, maybe check your email first thing when you get to work, middle of the day, and then once again later in the day, okay? Rather than every 30 minutes checking your email and then you're getting distracted, right? If you have client calls, try to batch those client calls together so that you can be in the focus, in the headspace of interacting with clients, okay? So it's putting like items together. And then when you schedule your week, you could block off an hour for one type of activity, another hour for another activity, right? So tip number 3, stop multitasking. Okay, tip number 4, you are putting off the hard things, right? So here's my biggest piece of advice. You've got that list of 3 things that you have to get done today. What's the one thing you don't want to do? What are you least looking forward to? Do that first, right? It's this idea of swallow the frog first, okay? Because typically in the morning, we're gonna have the most mental energy, not as much has happened. So just get after it. Start with the hardest thing. Then once it's done, you've built momentum for the entire rest of the day. and then everything else is going to be a little bit easier, okay? Whereas what I tend to see is people put off those things they don't want to do. They're like, I don't want to do that. Let's just cross off the easy thing. And then all of a sudden, it gets to be the afternoon, some emergencies pop up, we're exhausted, we're tired, and we're like, man, I don't want to do that. And then we push it off to the next day, the next week, and it never gets done, okay? So start with the hard thing, swallow the frog first, everything else will be easier, okay? And then last but not least, pay attention to your energy, okay? And this really ties into tip number 1, scheduling your time, okay? What gives you energy and what takes away energy? And try to schedule your day that way, right? So for example, maybe you're an introvert and being around people is something you enjoy, but it really drains you of energy, okay? If that's the case, you might want to put that first thing in the morning, all your meetings with clients, so that you can show up fully and energized to interact with them, right? Whereas if you wait till later in the day and then all of a sudden you've been exhausted from work and you go to these client meetings or you're interacting with people, you might be exhausted and you're not going to show up as well, right? Whereas on the flip side, let's say you're an extrovert, you love talking to people. Maybe put that to the end of the day when we tend to be more tired, so that it's something you have to look forward to. It's something that you know you'll be excited about, right? And that way it's gonna be easier to get done. So think about, as you're setting up your schedule, are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? What fills you up? What takes energy away? And try to plug and play when you can show up best yourself, okay? So again, guys, I hope this helps. Stop making these 5 mistakes, and I promise your productivity will increase, which will thus give you more time. All right, guys, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel to stay tuned with more topics like this. And if you guys are interested in working with me and getting some coaching, I'm gonna leave a link below to my website and my Instagram handle, and you guys can send me a message to connect further.